All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about if-else statements in Python. So the first thing that you need to know about conditions and if statements is that Python supports the usual logical conditions for mathematics. So equals, not equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and these conditions can be used in several ways, most commonly in if statements and loops, okay? Now, we're also going to talk about indentation, okay, which Python relies on indentation, white space at the beginning of a line, to define scope in the code. Other programming languages often use curly braces for this purpose, okay? And then we're going to talk about the elif keyword, so ELIF. Keywords is Python's way of saying if the previous conditions were not true, then try this. Okay, so we're going to run that. And then else, the else keyword catches anything which isn't caught by the preceding conditions. Okay, and then shorthand. If you have only one statement to execute, you can put it on the same line as the if statement. And then shorthand if else. If you have only one statement to execute, one for if and one for else, you can put it all on the same line. Okay, so I'll show you that as well. And then the and keyword is a logical operator and is used to combine conditional statements. Okay, which we'll talk about that. And then the or keyword is a logical operator and is used to combine conditional statements. So we covered those two examples that I just talked about in the operators video. Nested if, you can have if statements inside if statements. If this is called nested if statements. So you can nest if statements instead of if statements, okay? The past statement, if statements cannot be empty, but if you, for some reason, have an if statement with no content, put it in the past statement to avoid getting an error, okay? So that's all the information that we're going to be covering in this video, which is the if-else statement and conditions. So let's jump into our notebook. Okay, so I'm at my Jupyter notebook here. I'm going to launch that. And then what I want to do is I want to create a if-else notebook. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go to the desktop. We're going to go to Python Basics, and we're going to create 08. So we're going to go to New, Python 3, and then we're going to do 08. Okay, if else statements. Okay, we'll name that. And then what I want to do is we were talking about how Python supports the usual logical conditions for mathematics, which I showed you in the PowerPoint. So the first example I want to do is an if statement. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's comment that out. So if statement, okay, and what I want you to do is we're going to do a equals 10, and then b equals 50, okay? Now, if we do it that way, okay, now we're going to do if b is greater than a, print b is greater than a. And then let's run that. So we got an error here. Unexpected indent. Okay, so we'll try that. So this is indented too much. Really? Interesting. There we go. B is greater than A. Okay? So that's an if statement. If B is greater than A, return this. Print B is greater than A. Okay. So pretty straightforward, but you get the idea. Indentation. Now, I talked about this in the PowerPoint, but I'm going to cover it again just briefly. Python relies on indentation, white spaces at the beginning of a line to define scope in the code. Other programming languages often use curly brackets for this purpose. Now, you'll notice that I crashed this and we got an error, and I did this on purpose because I wanted you to see indentation. Okay, so what we're going to do for the next example is we're going to do C equals, and we'll put space in there. We'll do 40. Well, let's do 50. And then D equals 300. Okay. And then if I do, if B is greater than A, print B is greater than A, we will get an error. Okay. So let's take a look at that. So if B is greater than A, okay, print, and I'm not going to indent. B is greater than A. And this is what happened before. So let's run this so you can see the error. Okay. So indentation error. Expected an indented block. Okay. So the reason why it crashed was what I did before. Okay. Up here, I had print back here, and then it crashed. Then we fixed it. We tabbed in, and we're good to go. Okay. So formatting in Python is very important. Okay. Very important. Now let's talk about the elif keyword. So ELIF. Okay. Keyword is Python's way of saying if the previous conditions were not true, then try this condition. Okay. So with that one, and before we do that, let's comment this so we know that this is indentation. So we'll do indentation. Okay. And then we're going to go to elif. So elif. Okay. We'll return, and we're going to do E equals, and then F equals. Okay. And you'll notice I keep going down the row here for the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay. So it's that way we're not interfering with the other variables that we've already written. Okay. So E will be 400 and F will be 40. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write if F is greater than E, then what? What are we going to do? I'll show you. Okay. We're going to print something. So the question is, can you figure out what we're going to print? Okay, so we're going to print the following. So it will be F is greater than E. Okay. Now, if we do elif, A is equal to B. Okay. Then I put a colon, and then we print. A, in quotes, A and B are equal. Okay, then we print. Or we run, not print. Invalid syntax. Okay. So, again, this is a there we go. Now I got it to work, but it's not cooperating. So let's take a look at what we did. And let's see here. So we have print A and B are equal. f is greater than e, print f is greater than e. If that's true, it's not. So it's not going to do that. And here we're not doing a equals, a and b are equal. We're going to do e and f are equal. That was my bad. Here I'm thinking that I'm writing a and b. All right, now let's run it. All right, so interesting. That didn't print. All right, so let's take a look at this then. So what I'm going to do is let's delete the elif e equals f and print this. Okay, so that's not working either. So I have if f is greater than e, print f is greater than e. So what if I make f greater than e? Whoops. We'll do that. We'll make it 410. F is greater than e. Okay, so it works. And then we'll do f equal e, okay? And then we'll print e and f are equal. Okay, I'll print that. And there you go. So if I put it at 400 each, there you go. Now we have e and f are equal. Okay, so we fixed it. I just changed the numbers around a little bit to make it cooperate with us so you can get the idea of the example. Okay, so that's elif. Now we're going to talk about the else keyword, which catches anything which isn't caught by the preceding conditions. Okay, so this is really fun because you can throw different conditions in there. So for example, if, for this example, I'll just verbalize it to you and then we're going to write out a different example, but similar, okay? If b is greater than a, then you would write b is greater than a. If elif a equals b, else a is greater than b, okay? So what is that doing? Basically what that's doing is it's saying, look, you have three options. If it's not the first statement or the second statement, it will be the third statement, okay? So you have three conditions, three possibilities for your statement, okay? And it's going to run through each one and then identify the one that's suitable for what you're doing, okay? And that's exciting because, again, it gives you a lot of flexibility, okay? So now let's write that out. And again, we're going to use our own letters here. So we're going to do G and H, okay? And with G and H, okay, so this is going to be else, okay? So let's comment that out. So we're going to do G equals 300, H equals 20, okay? Now, if H is greater than G, okay, then we're going to print what I was talking about. Print H is greater than G, okay? Elif G is equal to H, okay, colon, and then we're going to print G and H are equal, okay? And then if that's not true, then it's going to call on else, and we'll run this third condition, which will be print, and it will be G is greater than H. Okay, now, is G greater than H? It is, so we should get this third else statement, okay, and condition. So let's run that, and there you go. So G is greater than H. So it worked. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, this is the fun part of programming, learning if-else statements and learning the fundamentals so that once you get into actual building of projects and running different things, you completely understand what's going on, okay? So there you go. So now let's talk about the AND keyword, which is a logical operator and is used to combine conditional statements, okay? And then we're going to talk about OR, because we talked about both of these in the operators section of the course. And so this is just kind of a fresh review of that. And again, it's always important to review stuff and practice, practice, practice. So let's do the AND keyword logical operator, okay? So with this, we're going to do I, J, and K as our three variables. Okay, so we'll do, let's do 400 for I, let's do 40 for J, and let's do 800 for K, okay? So we'll do if I is greater than J, and C, and K, sorry, is greater than I, print both conditions are true. Now, when I run this, what's going to happen? It's going to say both conditions are true. However, if I run I is greater than J, and J is 410, what's going to happen? It's not going to print anything, okay? Because it's not a true statement. So that's what it's checking for. It wants to make sure that all the variables are what you're telling Python that they are, okay? I is greater than J, and K is greater than I. And those are all true statements. So when I run that, we get that, okay? So that's the AND keyword logical operator, okay, with a combined conditional statement, okay? Now, when we do OR, which is another keyword and a logical operator, we can do the same thing. And in this case, we can do, instead of both conditions having to be true, we can actually just do one condition being true. Okay, which is the fun thing about this. So we're going to do L, M, and N for variable letters. So I'll do equals for each one of these. And then what we're going to do is we'll use similar numbers, pretty much the same numbers. We'll use the same numbers. So we'll do 400 for L, 40 for M, and then 800 for N. Okay, now we're going to run the same statement as before, but just different letters. So we're going to do if L is greater than M, or L is greater than N, okay, print at least one of the conditions is true. Now let's run that and see what happens. There you go. At least one of the conditions is true. Now, if I change one of these numbers, then this wouldn't pop up because it wouldn't be a true statement. Okay. So you see the difference when you use the AND operator. It's looking for both conditions. Okay. OR means one or the other. It gives you more flexibility. Okay. So there you go with that. And now let's look at the nested if statements. inside a nested if statement. Okay, so what this is you're basically layering if statements, which is fine. So we'll do, let's comment this out and do nested if statements. Okay, so I'm going to do O for our letter, and we're going to equal, let's do 40. So let's do if O is greater than 10, print above 10. Okay. And then if X is greater than 20, and it's not really X, it's O. I don't know why I keep writing X. If O is greater than 20, print and, oops, in quotes, and also above 20. Okay, and then else, print but not above 20. Okay, let's run that and see what happens. And we should know the answer here. Yep, above 10 and also about 20. Sorry, above 20. Up. There we go. Above. Try that again. There we go. All right, so that's how you nest if statements. And you can see the power of that is you can run an if statement here, and then else here, and then run another if statement here, okay, to get different conditions, okay, which again is a lot of fun because then you have a lot more flexibility with your programming, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Okay, so now let's talk about the pass statement. So if statements cannot be empty, but if you for some reason have an if statement with no content, put in the pass statement to avoid getting an error. Okay. So for this, let's call this pass statement. And essentially what that's doing is to avoid an error. Okay. So we're going to do P and Q, and we'll do equals 30 and then equals 100. Okay, and then if Q is greater than P, pass. Now let's get rid of pass and show you what that would look like. So you can see here, it's throwing an error on line 7, which is this line right here, because we're not returning anything. But when you write in pass, it's gone. It's like, you're good to go now. So that is, in a nutshell, a big nutshell, Python if-else statements, conditions, and so much more. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.